Hello, beautiful people. My name is Emma.
And I'm MC.
And we are your hosts of the G-Forces podcast. So today we are getting ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. You will get our recap of the Grand Prix a little bit later than usual because I will be flying home during the race. And
she's not going to Japan.
No.
No.
I wish.
One day we'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully. But I'll be in Spain. And I'm going to do something very fun that is F1 related.
Mm-hmm.
So you all will get a story time of that experience.
I keep forgetting you're doing that.
So do I, to be honest. But you will get our recap a little bit later. But today we are doing our Get Ready for Japan episode. I am going to be doing a recap of the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix because there's a little stat about that was broken finally for the first time in 2024 Sao Paulo. So, MC, what are you doing?
I am going over the history of Super Formula. So it is a feeder series that is focused in Japan that a lot of memorable names and important people have come out of, and it's something that is very similar in terms of like British formulas.
Yeah, but it's even faster than F2.
Yeah, and I'll go into that.
It's probably the closest thing to F1 in a feeder series you're going to get, apparently, speed-wise.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool. Some gossip that I want to talk about before we get started.
Oh, gosh.
Speaking of Super Formula, Liam Lawson. Some gossip is that apparently everybody says that it's confirmed that he is not going to be at Red Bull for the Japanese Grand Prix.
It hasn't been posted anywhere.
Where has this been confirmed, people?
I've seen, I think Podium Sundays on TikTok said that it was on like a Dutch or a German news site. Kim Illman just recently posted that he said it was confirmed, or like he had heard it was confirmed.
Yeah, but last time I checked, until they post about it, it's just rumors.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. But also, like, I feel like they did something very similar. It's giving the same energy as like the Danny Rick announcement.
I'm tired of this.
Everyone knows.
I can't imagine how they feel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Yeah, that's just too dang bad.
I thought you weren't gonna do it and you're just gonna leave me hanging. Anyways, is there any more drama? Oh, some people are rumors that Franco Colapinto is gonna get thrown from Alpine to Red Bull. Have you been seeing that?
I did see that. I think I saw it on like Reddit or something, and I was like, "What in the?"
I wouldn't be surprised at this rate.
Yeah.
And then Zhou Guanyu with his Harper's Bazaar spread. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Zhou looks great in red.
Crazy. I was scrolling Reddit and all of a sudden I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Thank you, Zhou, for that one. People are also trying to nominate which driver should be doing the Calvin Klein ad next.
Oh, God.
After Bad Bunny.
None of that. I don't.
I do. Okay. I don't really care. I'm lying.
That was a bald-faced lie. I really don't. I'm good.
I do think that if any of them were to do it, it would probably be Lewis or Lando.
It has to be someone older. It cannot be one of the
Fernando!
Yeah.
Let's get Fernando!
My problem is like, I'm 29, and so, like, some of them are, like, a little too young.
Some of them are babies.
And so I'm like, I don't need that. But, like, yeah, Fernando.
Fernando or Lewis, but I could also see Lando just with his image doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure any number of them would.
But then I could also, for some reason, see George Russell being forced to do it and really enjoying it.
I mean, it's anyone's game at this rate in your mind.
Or Carlos.
I mean, he had that stint on Drive to Survive.
Yeah, he's basically already there. Anyways, we'll get into the episode now.
Super Formula. Just so you guys know, some of these smaller series, there's not a lot of information built out on them. It's like very small pool of information. So if anyone out there is a Super Formula expert and I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. I would love to know the actual information and, share it with the world. So, the world first saw Super Formula back in 1973, but back then it wasn't called Super Formula, it was called the All Japan Formula 2000 Championship. Like some of the other feeder series we have discussed was created by the Japanese Automobile Federation. So like I think Italy's we've talked about the Italian Federation. I think
Every country has one.
Yeah. In the early days, what made this different than the F2 championships going on in Europe, in All Japan Formula 2000, drivers were allowed to use purpose-built racing engines, as opposed to the mass production models that were being used in the European Formula 2. And basically, from what I could tell, was that, like, these were purpose-built racing engines, like, it was like the V12, like they were like turbo engines.
Like an F1 engine.
Yeah. And so I think that's why they are so fast.
Ah, okay.
Is that something that, and it is seen in F2. I don't know if it's still seen today, but this is what set or the early days of All Japan Formula 2000 away from the European F2 championships. Well, as usual, the FIA goes ahead and changes the Formula 2 regulations, and in 1976, it allows for the use of purpose-built engines in F2. So in 1978, the name changed from the All Japan Formula 2000 to the All Japan Formula 2 Championship. In the early days of Formula 2000, or F2, there were mostly Japanese drivers, including, and I apologize if I pronounce any of it wrong, but I was reading them a lot today to like figure it out and to Kunumitsu Takahashi. What didn't this guy drive? I mean, when you look up his career, it was motorcycles, it was Formula 1 cars. It was like this guy managed to do like one race and like everything. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
He was in the early days.
What year was that?
He was in I think the early like 70s or 80s.
Okay.
And then the first Japanese F1 full-time driver who we spoke about before, Satoru Nakajima, was in the early days of Formula 2000 and F2. So seeing the success of like these guys who just, it's already succeeding. In the early 80s, Japanese F2 would see more European drivers enter this field, and Geoff Lees was the first non-Japanese driver.
Is it Geoff or Jeff?
It might be Jeff.
Is it Geoff?
Yeah,
it's Jeff.
Okay, you don't need to be... I'm reading everything phonetically.
I'm sorry, we just had a kid in our high school that was spelt that way. I'm not going to say their name in the podcast.
I don't know who you're... Not in my grade. He was the first non-Japanese driver to win this title, and he won it in 1983. He had already won the European F2 championship in 81, and then decided to go over to Japan to, drive out there. In 1984, European Formula 2 would end its run. That was the series, was European Formula 2. I don't think it exists anymore. And All Japan Formula 2 would follow suit a few years later, and it would become the All Japan Formula 3000 in 1988.
They really loved using thousands. Like, at one point...
I don't know if it has to do with,
like
the engines, like, if it has to do with something like that. But yeah, maybe. They like the...
I feel like there's several series over the years that have, like, 2,000, 3,000, like, as the name.
Popularity in this series seemed to increase for a multitude of factors. The Japanese Grand Prix had happened in the 70s, but then it got a more permanent feeling to the Formula One calendar in 1987 when it returned to Suzuka, which also happened to be the year that Nakajima began racing full time. So seeing this guy who just did really well going into the Formula One
Before it was at
series.
Suzuka, it was at the Fuji
hmm
racetrack.
In 1988, Guri Suzuka would win. He would go on to race in 65 Formula One races from 1988 to 1995. He did have 88 entries, but we all know the car issues these guys face. In 1991, Ikuyo Katayama would go to win in 1991. He would win the series. He would race in 95 F1 races from 1992 to 1997 with 97 entries totaled. So, with representation, there was bigger interest into what was going on in this series, adding to its popularity. Because of the success of the drivers and the length of their careers, there was also another influx of non Japanese drivers, including Jean Alesi, Eddie Irvine, and more. In 1996, there were more changes. So, as some might know, there was a bit of a financial issue going on globally in the 80s, and many economies were hit. A bunch of the Formula 3000 regulations were changed to lower costs, but the Japanese Automobile Federation decided to stick to the prior regulations that had been Formula 3000, and they renamed this Formula Nippon. Sorry.
I know how it's spelled. I don't know how it's said.
Okay, I thought you were like
No, I don't know how. I think one of those is correct.
I think the regulations for the updated Formula 3000 when this financial crisis hit didn't include open chassis, and they might have all had to use the same engines, obviously lowering costs. So, changing a lot of what was making this series so exciting. A lot of drivers came out of Formula this new formula, which was the prior, like, all the years we just talked about their regulations with the open chassis, the changing. It's just the new name prior to Super Formula. Um, a lot of drivers came out of this series, including Ralph Schumacher, who won his first season in
I
the
talk about him in
series.
my segment.
He won his first, he was the first rookie to ever win in this, Japanese series in its history.
He's also, if you can't tell by the name, the brother of Michael
Mm-hmm.
Schumacher and the first openly queer F1 driver.
Yeah. Pedro de la Rosa, who won in 1997, and many more drivers came out of this. As the years went on, the next financial crash in 2008 really affected this series. Apparently, the grid had gone from 20 cars in 2008 to just 13 the following year in 2009. So, Dev's showing you on a microscope the level of
Wasn't this also right after? Didn't Japan have a massive earthquake and tsunami in the late 2000s, like 2007,
I
2008?
think you're right, yeah.
So I'm sure that also affected them too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Um, in 2013, it was announced that Formula Nippon, whatever, you know what I'm alluding to, would become Super Formula. I feel like the last 10ish years have kind of become a really incredible streak for Super Formula, as well as one filmed with names most of us will recognize. In 2015, Stoffel Van Dorn would join. He would move on to F1 in 2017. Pierre Gasly would join in 2017 and would be the runner up in this series, joining Formula One full time in 2018. Several very successful Indy cars have gone on through this series, including Felix
Rosenquist. I think
Rosenquist,
so.
Alex Palou, and Pato Award. I think Pato was the one who stated that it even feels like that Super Formula is even closer to Formula One than even IndyCar. Liam Lawson was the runner-up in this series in 2023 and is now in Formula One as well. Super Formula races only happen in Japan, and in the 2024 season, they use 5 circuits, including Suzuka, which is the home of the Japanese Grand Prix currently, and Fuji Speedway, which is where it was originally. Last year, the 2024 season was run by Sho Suboi, who is continuing on to race in Super GT. So,
Cool.
lots of like little tidbits of like really, really like fascinating and like lengthy careers.
Well, and I feel like
Um,
Japan has a really long history in motorsport, but because it's so far from us, we just like don't really think about it that often.
yeah, and
Especially because the European stuff kind of gets more media.
yeah, no, definitely. I think it's definitely ebbed and flowed in popularity from the articles that I was reading. And it really has, like, I just think become even bigger,
Like, I
especially
feel
with
like it would be cool if during the Japanese Grand Prix, instead of, I don't know if it's F2 or F1 Academy or what feeder series is doing is traveling with F1 for the Japanese Grand Prix. Um but I feel like with platforming F1 Academy, I think it would be very cool if instead of bringing F2 or F1 Academy to the Japanese Grand Prix, is if that could also be a Super Formula weekend too. Like they use
well,
the same track for the same weekend.
and I think that's kind of always been like, while not everyone's thrilled that Liberty Media is in charge, I think that's kind of everyone's want for like the F1 TV kind of app is
To
to
have everything.
show everything, to show this. And I have to double check to see if like we can even access Super Formula.
I don't know if we
Um
can.
I'm sure there's some way to, but it'd be nice if there was like a platform for these feeder series that, you know, only do a handful of races
Yeah.
similar to F1 Academy where it's like smaller calendars. Um Especially because I think last season they used 5 circuits around Japan, which is like,
I didn't even know they had that many.
I think they've used up to like 8 or 9, but they're just using 5 this season, which, like, that's the thing. Like, we would
I
never
didn't
know.
even know. I thought it was just Fuji and Suzuka.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, I just thought it was cool how many like successful Japanese drivers have come out of it.
I'm
And
surprised
like,
Yuki never raced in it, to be honest. Because Red Bull likes to have some of their like younger drivers when they move from F2, they like to have them for a year at Super Formula.
I'm
That's
gonna
what Pierre and Liam both did.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know Yuki's like
Background enough.
background to like to know what he did. Yeah,
Interesting.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. All right, well, I am going to get into the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. For the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix, the reason why I wanted to go over it's because this was the last time that a driver would win from 17th on the grid or lower until the 2024 Sao Paulo Grand Prix when Max Verstappen won from 17th on the grid.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it was a gap of 19 years. Take a
Jeez.
guess who won? 2005.
I don't. Fernando.
He's close. He's on the podium. The fact that he was on the podium, Fernando. Okay, so this was officially known as the 2005 Formula One Fuji Television Japanese Grand Prix, in case you care. Um, Fernando Alonso, our king, was crowned world champion at the previous round in Brazil. But the battle for the Constructors' Championship was between McLaren, which at that point they were McLaren Mercedes, and Renault. And that continued on to the penultimate round with McLaren leading by 2 points. So, practice. Teams that this isn't the rules were so different at this point in time. It's crazy.
That's the thing too. Like the amount of rules that they change all the time. Like just the fact that they dropped the fastest lap point.
Oh,
Just got
well,
rid
this
of
is
it.
going to blow your mind. Teams that finished 5th or lower in the previous year's Constructors' Championship, so 2004, were entitled to run a third car in free practice on Friday. So, not just like a rookie session, a full on third car. And so, you had to have a third driver. These drivers participated on Friday, but they obviously didn't compete in the race. That would be crazy. Of the 6 teams, only 4 had 3 drivers, a third driver. At Suzuka, so McLaren had Pedro de la Rosa, Red Bull had v- Vitant Vitantonio Luisi. Uh, L- yeah, we're gonna go with that one. Toyota had Ricardo Zonta and Jordan, which also R.I.P. Eddie Jordan. They had Sakon Yamamoto. Um, Not really much happened at practice. I know that one of them ended up having like faster times at one point than like Michael Schumacher. But it was also a practice session.
Yeah.
So like, good on ya, third drivers. I'm sure that really boosted your ego.
Yeah.
But it's also a practice session. And rain also happened on Saturday, causing some issues.
Okay.
Rain at Suzuka is not a good thing. We don't want rain at Suzuka ever.
Has it since we started watching?
There's been potential for it. There was potential for it last year because I think there was potential for like a tsunami or something last year. I don't know when
can't
tsunami
remember.
season is, to be honest, but I
I don't
remember
think
there
there's
being. There's a hurricane season. Why would there not be a tsunami
because
season?
a tsunami's a wall of wave. Do you mean like monsoon season?
I would imagine tsunamis happen at like a specific time of year.
I don't know. We're sounding really.
How often do they happen?
I don't think that often. I think tsunamis are followed by earthquake. Like an earthquake happens and then you get a tsunami.
Yeah, but is there a time of year that earthquakes are more active?
I don't know. We don't live near earthquakes.
Okay. Anyways, back to the race. Sorry for that.
American public school education.
Well, also we grew up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
We don't have these things. So
we have snow.
And hurricanes.
Yeah.
And now we have tornadoes in Tennessee. Anyways, qualifying. So, this actually took place on a wet track, and the conditions got worse throughout the session, naturally. Again, we don't want that this weekend. I mean, for the Japanese Grand Prix. There are some people who want it, and I'm like, are you crazy? We don't want that.
No.
Some of the drivers that are typically at the front of the track ended up at the back of the order because of this rain. So, I'm pretty sure at this point, qualifying was not the 3 quali sessions that we normally see. I'm pretty sure it was just like fastest lap.
Okay, so
you get like a couple lap chances, and like then from there it's
kind of like how IndyCar does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Ralph Schumacher qualified on pole, edging out Jenson Button by 0.035 seconds. Fisichella was third, and the home favorite, Takuma Sato, he was in fifth. Conditions were now getting really bad, so people were struggling to set in a lap time. So let me read you some of the people that were at the back that were unexpected. 14th, Michael Schumacher. 16th, Fernando Alonso. 17th, Kimi Räikkönen. Those are the main ones for me, to be honest. Everybody else, I don't really... I recognize some of the names, but they're kind of closer up. I'll tell you who else was racing at this point in time, just in case you're curious. Jenson Button, which you already know, because I already said that. David Coulthard, Mark Webber, Jacques Villeneuve, Rubens Barrichello, Felipe Massa. Those are the ones that everyone will probably recognize. Juan Pablo Montoya, stuff like that.
So experience.
Yeah, but like... This is right before, like, Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton come on. This is right before Sebastian Vettel torments Mark Webber.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's even still a Toyota team at this point, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was Williams BMW at this point, too. Interesting. And it was, oh my gosh, it wasn't even Toro Rosso yet. It was still Minardi. Wild. Okay, so the race. Ralph Schumacher kept the lead off the start, but then Giancarlo Fisichella passed Jenson Button and David Coulthard. I don't even write his name anymore. I just write DC. Off the start to move from 8th to 6th. Sadly, the local hero Sato ran wide into the gravel at turn 1, and his front tire was sideswiped by Rubens Barrichello.
No.
Both did continue, though. but the left rear Baroncello's Ferrari was punctured, which I feel like he's taken a lot of L's because this happened to him like another race the last time I think I went over a race
Yeah.
for Australia, I think it was. He's taken the L's, unfortunately. And where was I? Both continued, but the left rear of his Ferrari was punctured, leading to a pit stop at the end of lap 1. Never a fun experience. By the end of the first lap, Alonso had moved from 16th to 7th. Go off, King. Also, just a reminder, they still were fueling up cars in the middle of races at this point, which is crazy that Fernando Alonso has gone from fueling up a car in the middle of a race to not at all.
Yeah.
He has lived so many lives.
The 9 lives of Fernando
Truly.
Alonso.
McLaren driver Juan Pablo Montoya crashed heavily while coming into the pit straight after trying to drive around the Sauber of Jacques Villeneuve. But the Canadian squeezed him and onto the gravel, making the Colombian the first retirement of the afternoon and severely damaging McLaren's Constructors' Championship hopes. The accident resulted in the safety car being deployed. I'm just now realizing I don't think I wrote down who won the Constructors' Championship that year. I will have to take a look for that.
Leaving us on the edge of our seats.
I know, truly. Lap 10, Sato tried to pass Trulli in the chicane. Trulli made contact and it forced, Sato made contact and it forced Trulli to retire. Some tea comes along with that later. Ralph came in to the pit, Ralph Schumacher. Came into the pit and was the first of the leaders to do so at the end of lap 13. They basically counted him out to win the race because nobody else was pitting anytime soon. Unfortunately for him, it happens. Bad strategy. We've seen it before, and we will see it again.
That we will.
Talking to you, Ferrari. Lap 19, Fernando Alonso was able to pass Schumacher, and when I looked online, when I was reading all of it, it said that it was like one of the most incredible passes. Tracks. It's Fernando. And he passed Schumacher around the outside of the infamous 130R corner, which seems to be a curved left-hand turn that you can take at pretty high to medium speed. So to pass someone on the outside, it seemed very much like, whoa, intense. Yeah. Raikkonen had the chance to pass Schumacher in the next turn, actually, the Casio triangle, but was unable to do it. At this point, Fernando Alonso went into pit for fuel. He was the first of Schumacher, Raikkonen, and Alonso to do so, which means he came out behind them. Raikkonen was able to pass Michael on the pit straight of lap 29. Lap 32, Michael went deep into the chicane, which gave Fernando the opportunity to pass, which he did, down the pit straight, though, and swept into turn 1 ahead of Michael. Kimi had his last pit stop on lap 45, though, which put Fisichella back into the lead of the race. Kimi was now about to be on a charge as he came out of the pits. I truly wish that we got to see Kimi race because he seems hysterical. Fernando Alonso closed up to the back of Mark Webber's Williams. I honestly did not know that Mark Webber drove for Williams at one point. In my mind, he's just always been Red Bull. But
yeah, no, he did it. Remember, he did it against Flavio's
correct
judgment. Yeah.
Forgot about that. By the end of lap 49, Alonso had closed up to the Williams, and Alonso was forced onto the grass, but was still able to pass Webber to take third place. I feel like this was like true menace, Fernando.
Just a mess. Like ultimate gremlin energy.
I love it so much. Kimi Raikkonen took 1.3 seconds out of Fisichella's lead just on lap 49 alone. and was now right on the rear wing of the Italian. Obviously, we know how this is going to end. Kimi Räikkönen lined up to overtake going into the chicane, but Fisichella went defensive, panicking, which gave Kimi the motivation needed to just slingshot past him into turn one and successfully did so. This was Kimi Räikkönen's 7th win of the season. Truly. Jacques Villeneuve had a 20. Now, this is post race, obviously. Jacques Villeneuve had 25 seconds added to his race time for causing Juan Pablo Montoya to crash out on the first lap, while Takuma Sato was disqualified from the final classification for his lap 10 collision with Jarno Trulli, which caused the Italian to retire from the race. Which this truly made me realize, sometimes some of the calls the stewards are making are not that inconsistent sometimes. They've been doing this kind of shit forever.
Yeah.
To disqualify someone for crashing, we've never seen that.
Yeah.
Crazy. The final race classification. Okay. P1, Kimi Räikkönen, of course, the Iceman. P2, also the points that you got. Oh my gosh. Whoa. I didn't even look at this before. What do you think the point system was?
Low.
Probably
like 10 points for the person who won.
Yeah. The point system for the races back then is the point system for sprint races now.
Only the top 8
Yeah.
points? Damn.
That's why
small amount of points.
That's why everyone is like, the point system, you can't compare like a rookie's points like season now to what it was back then. Okay, so Kimi Räikkönen, P1, P2 is Giancarlo Fisichella, P3 Fernando Alonso, P4 Mark Webber, P5 Jenson Button, P6 David Coulthard, P7 Michael Schumacher, P8 Ralph Schumacher, and then everybody else, there's a couple of people that you know, but they did not do
How
the
many
top
DNFs?
8. 3 retirements, 1 disqualification.
Hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that is the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. I think I was originally going to do the 2004 one, and there was a chance. I think the 2004 one was I can't remember who it was, but they like took the potential 8th championship from Schumacher then. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that is the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix, and now we are going to talk about our final thoughts. Okay, guys. MC, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think that there's, for new people into the sport, I feel like there's so much more history in Japan than you realize.
I also feel like a lot of the title fights in the 80s and 90s happened at the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much, insanity that has happened with every race. Like, it's never just... Because, I don't know, some of them, to be really frank, some of them have been pretty sleepy consistently. Like, every year you're like, oh, not much is going to happen,
MC hates the Monaco Grand Prix because nothing happens.
It is so boring!
Fine, watch IndyCar then instead. The Indy 500 happens the same day.
I'll watch one on my phone and the other one on TV, but it is just... The day before is exciting, but, I'll get over it.
Are you saying that Checo and the Haas's crash this year wasn't crazy?
I mean, yeah, it's crazy for a moment, and then that's it. Then it settles,
because it's like people's houses in the way.
Yeah, it's like alleys.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool.
Visually wonderful. If I were to be invited, I would go. But
invite us.
Yeah,
I'll enjoy it.
I will suck it up.
Oh no, how sad. Invited to the Monaco Grand Prix. The horror.
By who?
Yeah. Anyways, there was something I was going to say. Oh, just that I think that the Japanese Grand Prix is up there in one of my top races of the year.
We say this every year, and I think it's top 2. I think
it's just so pretty. I love that they moved it to cherry blossom season. That is a season. Since we can't figure out if there's a tsunami season. But cherry blossom season, so the track is just surrounded by cherry blossoms. It's so pretty. The freaking hats every year are amazing. The commitment by the fans. And it is relatively affordable. So if I cough up the money one day to somehow get to Japan, might as well spend also a
Yeah.
day at least to go to the Japanese Grand Prix since it's relatively affordable.
Yeah, no, it is. It's always like I wouldn't say up there, but like I don't want to say down there.
It's somewhere in
it's
like it's like $150 like US dollars or something to attend for like one of the days.
yeah. I mean, compared to like Vegas, which is like you have to sell a organ on the black market to
No,
get a
apparently they're
ticket.
trying to make the cheapest tickets like $50 a day,
Huh?
which means you wouldn't have a seat anywhere and you'd probably be looking through like a gate. They give
Yeah.
you a little face hole to stick your face through.
Ugh.
No, but I'm very excited about it. I'm very interested to see right now this season.
Is a mess. Nothing makes any sense. So
I
I'm
have
curious
no
to
idea
see.
what's going to happen and it's really exciting, but it's also really stressing me out.
If you're listening to this before before qualifying or before the race, go look at the driver standings and go look at the team standings and just it'll give you a chuckle because it's insane.
I'm saying it now. I'm gonna knock on wood though, because I'm paranoid. We're getting an Albono podium this season. I think it's gonna happen.
I
I will
refuse to
sob.
say
I will
anything
sob.
because the way I just I'm not gonna put that out there. I don't want to jinx.
I'm
anything.
manifesting it, not jinxing it. There's a
Yeah.
difference. I knocked on wood. I can't jinx it now.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna have like a black cat cross in front of me or something now because of that. But yeah, the season is kind of a mess right now. I
We
mean, we're only
are
two races
in
in,
2 races
but like
in.
last year, it was a bit more structured in the sense that we kind of had an idea as
But
to
I
who is going to
think
be good. But right
as
now, we have no
someone
idea.
as people who like to complain, I do think that like this is what we wanted.
Yeah, this is what we
This is
want.
what we
I'm not
want.
complaining. It's just stressing me out.
Yeah.
I would rather be stressed and having a good time than complaining about being bored.
Yeah.
Like it was.
I don't know. It's been
It's a
fun.
little boring when the same people win all the time.
Yeah.
And I say this as McLaren has won both races this year, but
Do we
different
find it more-
drivers.
Do we find it more? It hasn't lost its excitement yet because
it's not easy wins.
it's
for
not
either
years
of, them
of
yet.
wins in a row.
Yeah, and it's
So.
also a team that we support. So right now it feels really good.
Yeah.
Literally, if
Guys,
this
we're Mets fans. Let us have this one.
Yeah, every sports team that we've ever liked always sucks. Basically, even
We're
our
New
college
Yorkers.
teams are bad right now. So this is an exciting moment for us to finally have a potential winner on our hands.
Yeah. But
I think I just jinxed that now.
yeah, you're just shut up.
I know.
On that note,
Please make sure to go follow us on all of the things. Like, subscribe, comment what fun thing that's F1 related that I'm doing when I'm in Madrid.
oh, what you think the fun thing?
Comment what you think it is.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Google F1 Madrid. You'll probably get some random things now, though.
Yeah, don't do that.
Because of the Madrid race.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the Madrid. Ugh. Anyways, comment that. Comment what you think I'm doing. I think that's it.
Yeah.
A nice little short one for you guys.
Cool.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.